Are there home loan red flags that are happening out there right now for veterans?
Definitely, there's a lot of red flags that I would see. That would be a big red flag. You know, these guarantees, red flag.
Is that the truth? Is that the way it goes? Hello, everyone. I'm Robert Hoffman.
My name is Jodi Ulrich with Novus Home Mortgage.
We're on our next episode, and we're going to focus on VA home loan red flags. So today we're kind of focusing on the home loan red flags. Are there home loan red flags that are happening out there right now for veterans?
Yeah, absolutely. Definitely, there's a lot of red flags that I would see. You know, what we see out there from talking to clients. Certain things that you just got to be aware of is lenders out there saying something like guaranteed approval or interest rates that tend to be well below market, almost too good to be true. If it seems too good to be true, it probably is. A lot of times, you know, those situations are going to have a lot of added cost to that. Or they might be adjustable rate mortgages where they're only going to be fixed for a short period of time, but they're kind of marketed in a way that makes them seem like they're fixed for longer or a 30-year fixed option. So yeah,
that makes sense.
There's red flags to look out. And then nobody can guarantee an approval. That's what the whole underwriting process is through. It's really hard to guarantee an approval when you don't know their credit, you don't know their income or asset situation.
Because every person is different, every veteran is different, everybody has different aspects.
I would say the other one is if somebody's asking for large amounts of fees up front or not getting you paperwork before you start the process, you should be on the lookout for what they call a loan estimate. Should be one of the first things they need to do. So a lender has 3 days from the time you put in your application to deliver you this loan estimate. So you can see in writing what the interest rate's going to be, what your monthly payment's going to be, and what the costs are to obtain that loan. That's a really important document to utilize when shopping for a home loan. So if you're dealing with a lender that's not doing that, that's a red flag to me, right? They're trying to hide something that you'll find out probably later on in the process. And at that time, you might feel like, oh man, I've already gone through for 2-3 weeks into the process. So I would watch out for that. And then anybody asking for money up front, application fees, things like that. I always say no on that. We do collect for the appraisal, and the VA has a schedule of what those costs are for appraisals. But that should really be the only fee that you're paying for. So anything else other than that, definitely a red flag.
All right. Well, that kind of answered the first question I had on the book. So we're going to move on to the next one is how can borrowers confirm that a mortgage lender or broker is legitimate and properly licensed?
Yeah, there is a website that tracks all of this. It's called the Consumer NMLS, or the National Multi-State Licensing System. So you can go to Consumer NMLS Access. You can look up your specific loan officer. Every loan officer is given a number, as well as you can search their name. So you can look that right up. You can see their work history, how long they've been with their company. If they've been jumping around a lot, that can be a red flag.
I got a quick question on that. So with your NMLS, because I know a little bit, are they state specific?
Yes and no. This is a good question. So your NMLS number is your national license there. So you have that. Underneath that, there's going to be specific state licenses if they don't work for a financial institution that has a federal banking charter. So like I myself work for a bank, and I'm able to lend in all 50 states without state-specific licensing because we do internal continuing education. For a mortgage broker, they need to have a specific state license for every state that they operate in.
How do you find that? Can you find that with the NMLS?
Yep. So you log in and it'll tell you if they're federally licensed, or if not, it'll have each individual state that is listed. So it's a really valuable website. Again, it's Consumer NMLS Access. You can go on, check it out, search who your loan officer is by their NMLS number. That's a very key.
I think that's important for veterans to know, because if you're not working with a qualified lender, like you're really putting yourself at risk for any kind of things that may happen, which is red flags. So make sure like you're researching that. The NMLS is very important when in the VA home loan process, and making sure that they're also in the state that you're trying to get a home loan in, because you want everything to work properly, and you want someone that's actually going to help you, not be detrimental.
Absolutely. I think that's a great point, Robert.
All right, so our next one is, what types of personnel or financial information should never be shared with unverified home loan providers?
Be aware of people that are unsolicited cold calls, texting or emailing for information, and then transferring your personal information over, through those means. Any reputable lender is going to have a secure application and a secure portal for you to upload your documents to. And that if you're not familiar with who they are, I wouldn't be sharing personal information such as social security numbers, dates of birth, maybe even email addresses as well, until you have verified who it is that you're speaking to on the other line. Obviously, technology is great where lots of things can happen over the phone or via email, but you do want to make sure that who you're working with is reputable. They have an NMLS number. And then anybody asking for money, anytime they're asking for money, that's something that I would shy away from.
So with links, we'll talk about the CRM that you guys use, the platform. Yep. So when getting sensitive information, how does a veteran identify that they are using the right platform? Just because the way information is leaked, like you get text messages, go to this link, you get emails, go to this link, because they find out the consumer information somehow, some way. And then you get these text messages and things like that on your phone or emails in your inbox, and they're saying, click this link, submit your information, let us help you out. How do they go about, because you talked about the platform putting on the right information. How do they go about verifying that they are using the right platform and putting their personal information on?
Yeah, so great question. When we're talking to a potential home buyer, we're gonna invite them into our application right when we're on the phone with them. Hey, we're gonna get you this link. Go to click on it, create your account, and now once they have an account, they can either download the app on their phone, or they can log in directly online to upload this stuff, and that's how a lot of the information is going to come. And then we can request any specific information, such as their certificate of eligibility, their DD-214, pay stubs, W-2s, things of that sort, directly through that app, and it's always going to direct them back to that for uploading any information. So it's a great way just to know that all of your information is being transferred securely, where you're not sending it out to these other sources. So definitely something that I recommend when dealing with your personal and sensitive information.
So be careful on making sure you're coordinating with your loan officer. They're vetted, and then they're also giving you the application within a time frame that is trusted. So that way you're not randomly throwing stuff out there.
That's correct. Yep. And then just not giving your information or social security numbers over the phone to somebody who you're not really sure who they are. Definitely keep that close to pocket.
And the one thing I'll say is the best thing to do is, if you have any doubt and you have any questions, call your loan officer. That's the best thing to do, because if you feel like it could be something that's bad, pick up the phone, give a call. No question is a dumb question, in my opinion. There's many times I've asked a person 5 times the same question just to make sure that I was getting the right answer and that I'm also doing the right thing. So we got to do that as people. Sometimes we're embarrassed or think it's a bad thing to ask a question, but I think at times, especially things like this with personal information, it doesn't hurt. Ask that question.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's what your loan officer is there for. They're there to answer your questions. And we hear a lot of times when people do get some of these scams, well, I didn't want to bother you. I want to get them the information right away to not delay the process. But your loan officer is there to help guide you through the process. So definitely reach out to them. Make sure that before sending information that you're doing so to the person that's supposed to be getting it. So no such thing as a bad or a dumb question.
Okay, so my next question is, how can reviewing loan documents carefully help identify misleading or unfair terms?
Yeah, absolutely. So that loan estimate is one of the big disclosures that you want to look for, and that is really designed to outline the specific loan that you're doing. So it's going to show right in there if it's a fixed rate or if it's an adjustable. It's also going to list any fees that are out there. And that's something that you can compare amongst lenders. And in terms of origination fees or other fees that are out there, the VA does limit the amount of fees that you can charge. And on purchases, a lot of times the seller can pay for some of your fees as well.
If you don't mind me asking, like, what can you list some of those fees? Like, what would be like a more roundabout like fees that a veteran will face that they're definitely going to have to come out of pocket for, or they could come out of pocket, so they kind of know, like, if they're going through this process, like, oh, well, I heard this from Jodi on the YouTube and everything, and they're able to identify those kinds of things, like fees that they know that could potentially come up when applying for loans and getting that estimate.
Yeah, absolutely. So most lenders are going to charge what is known as an origination fee. And that is a fee that they would utilize for covering the cost of processing or underwriting your specific transaction. But some others will also charge what's known as a discount fee, or a larger upfront fee in order to obtain a specific interest rate. Those are fees that I would say can get very expensive, and something that you want to be aware of, that you're not paying an exorbitant amount of money, 2-3% of your home loan in order to get whatever specific interest rate that they're talking about. So that's something to be aware of. But other fees that are out there would be title fees. Title fees are going to be on every transaction. You as the veteran do have the ability to shop for title insurance and title closing fees with specific title companies. And your lender can help you with that as well. But you do want to be careful, because although most states are regulating what the fees can be for title insurance, there could be a pretty wide gap out there. So, but that is an expected fee that we would see out there. I mentioned the appraisal previously.
Yeah, the appraisal fee.
There is going to be an appraisal fee that they would be responsible for. So, and then the VA themselves charges what they call a funding fee. And that funding fee varies based upon down payment, as well as if you've used your VA benefit in the past, or if it's what they would call subsequent use. So you have that fee. Now that fee is waived if you have any service-related disability. So that's a really nice benefit for veterans.
So can I touch on that a little bit? So
Absolutely.
like I'm 100% P&T. For 100% P&T, like origination fees, funding fees, and everything are normally all like not at the expense of the veteran. Mm-hmm. Is that the truth? Is that the way it goes? I think I had to pay appraisal. And I know I had to pay title. Mm-hmm. But I think that was my only expense when using the VA loan.
Yeah.
Is there really anything else for like a disabled veteran, especially one that's 100%?
For the VA fees, yes. The VA funding fee is completely waived for somebody who has, even if you're 10%, service-related disability, gets that completely waived, which is an amazing benefit. It's one of the things when I look at a VA loan, when we're comparing them to other options, is the veteran have that service-related disability, because that can make the VA really the best option.
So that could be a red flag too, just because when you really think about it, you could potentially go in, you don't have those fees because you have a disability, mm-hmm. but yet you're being charged those fees because they're like, oh, this is a normal process.
Yeah.
You got to pay this origination fee. You got to pay this funding fee. Mm-hmm. You got to pay the appraisal. But in reality, you got a disability, and everything is actually covered by the VA. So
yeah.
It's a good thing to know that, like, if you got a disability, there is some benefits that are different.
Yes. You still might have an origination fee that is going to vary depending on lender to lender.
Okay.
But it's the VA funding fee that is going to be waived in those circumstances. But again, watch out for those discount fees or large amounts of discount that you might see for a specific interest rate. That's where I see a lot of companies, really charge probably too much. And that's that too good to be true scenario. So just be aware of that.
See, I said something about origination fees. I thought it was waived, but I guess it's based off a lender. So he corrected me on that one. That's why I got this guy here.
Yeah, absolutely.
Appreciate it, Jodi. All right, I got my final question here. What should someone do if they think they've been contacted by an unreliable lender or misled about a loan?
Yeah, if you think you've been contacted by an unreliable lender, definitely go to that consumer NMLS access website. Check and see if the person that you're talking to is in fact a licensed mortgage loan originator, as well as the company. Each company will have their own NMLS number as well. But even with that, there's definitely things that you can do if you feel like you've been treated unfairly.
Is there a place that you can file those?
Yep, you can file those with the CFPB, the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau.
Okay.
You can file those with the specific state in which you live in. You can file those with the FTC. So there's lots of options that you can do to really or notify others that you have maybe you've been taken advantage of, or maybe just something doesn't seem right. Also check Better Business Bureau, but even Google reviews or other website reviews of the person you're dealing with. See what other people are saying about them. It's gonna be great ways to really check and see what their experience is. And I'd be weary if they have all 5-star reviews.
No
right?
one has 5
to me,
stars.
that's I'll give an example. I once got a 4-star review, and they were like, it was one of the best written reviews that I think I've ever gotten. Like, they were great. Jodi was so awesome. All these things, and they gave me 4 stars. And I was like, wait a minute. But that lends to the credibility of I think who you're dealing with, right? Like if everything's 5 stars, that just seems fishy to me.
Well, I mean, people may like you did great, but maybe the process
Yep.
or there was hiccups in the road that they didn't foresee, and then it just caused a little bit of complications with their process, which delayed maybe something they wanted to do.
And sometimes people just don't ever give 5 stars.
That's a true
So
statement.
you got to take that into consideration. But there's definitely options though to go ahead and voice your concerns and put in a complaint if you were definitely treated unfairly.
I have a question on the reporting. So when reporting, do you get feedback from those agencies when you do a reporting? Because I've seen and heard throughout the time that sometimes you might file a complaint, but then where's that complaint go? What happens to it? Is there anything done? Usually there's no feedback sometimes, no one getting back to you. How does it work in the mortgage industry as far as when you file a complaint? Is there someone that actually contacts you, gives you a person, and try to understand your complications?
If you are filing a complaint, let's say the Better Business Bureau or like the State Banking Commission, the lender gets notified as to what that complaint is, and they have a time frame in which you can respond. I would be very concerned if I'm reading reviews and there isn't a response. It almost shows that the lender doesn't care, and that's really to me that's a red flag, right?
Okay.
Complaints, they happen, but how does the financial institution deal with the complaint to make sure that the consumer is taken care of? So what's their response, in terms of, even if it's an online review, did they take time to respond to your complaints or your concerns? I think that's important, but you should get the feedback from wherever you put the complaint in. You'll get the feedback directly from the financial institution. So,
all right. So we wrapped up all of our questions. Just to kind of put it in a perspective, can you give me a good list of the big red flags to kind of look out for, like a good overview? That way the veterans can have a big list, just kind of wrapping up everything.
Yeah.
See how that way they can have a way to identify different things that red flags look out for, and the big things to key in on.
Yes. So number one, interest rates that would seem to be too good to be true or below market. If everybody is, let's say, in the 6% range and somebody's in the 4% range, I would be very concerned about that. Exorbitant fees. Take a look at loan estimates and compare loan estimates. Is one person $5,000-$6,000 more expensive than another financial institution at a similar interest rate? That would be a big red flag. And then, these guarantees, we're guaranteeing your approval, red flag. And then I think, last but not least, when kind of going through that process, just somebody that's gonna come alongside you and take care of you, right? Answer all your questions. If they're not getting back to you, they're not willing to jump on a call and answer those questions. Those are probably the 4 things that I would be really concerned with as I go through looking at the home loan process.
I would say the biggest thing is making sure you got a loan officer that is willing to be there for you, always communicating and answering the phone and answering questions. That's a huge thing. All right, everyone, that's all for today. Jodi, can you tell us how someone can reach you if they want to learn more about the VA home loan process?
Yeah, absolutely. You can click on the link below. I'll have my contact information there and a way to reach out to me. I'm happy to help answer any questions that you might have, whether it's purchasing a property, refinancing a property, or even if you just want me to review documents that you've received from another financial institution that you might have concerns with. Willing to take a look at those and help you out in any way that I can to make sure that you're getting a good deal.
Awesome. Thanks, Jodi. So, guys, that wraps it up for today. If you have any questions, please reach out. You can always like, subscribe, and follow us for more. So make sure you keep up with us. Have a great day.